We may actually start a minute early, which is fine.
Me on time this early in the morning. Wow.
It's awesome. There we go. Okay.
That light too bright on my face? To me, it feels like it is. I'm going to adjust it just a tiny bit. It's not my right in my eyes. That's a little better.
Okay. So after a near-death experience, Susan Walter began seeing angels, lots of them. I'll be chatting to Susan about this and everything angels. So namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the planet, around the world. My name is Greg Prescott from In5D.com. And today I'll be talking with Susan Walter. But before we get going, and while people are filing in, I'm going to be mailing out a bunch of shirts that I just sold overnight to some very lucky people who had just happened to purchase them. I had a question yesterday too on the chat. Somebody was asking, if I order the shirts today, will I get them in time for Valentine's Day? Definitely in the United States. Overseas, it takes between 7 to 14 days. So by today or tomorrow or by the end of the month, yeah, definitely. But within the United States, yeah, you'll get them within 3 to 4 days anyway. So as I mentioned, we have these amazing shirts. Get them for Valentine's Day. It's a great idea. I love it. And they all have the 99.9% quartz crystal sand infused into the dye. They're special. They're magical. Get them here at in5d.net. I also want to encourage you guys to check out our In5D Patreon page, where you do get notified. Even at the 111 level, you get notified of videos, chats like this, and then bump it up a little. We have the Insiders Club private chat and up a little higher. And we got exclusive mid-month energy reports and all sorts of good stuff. So check that out. So here we are. I'm being joined by Susan Walter, who had some amazing experiences as a child, and I'll let her fill you in with all the details. So Susan, welcome to our show.
Morning. Thanks for having me today.
Good morning. Seeing how you're a morning person, I figured
yeah. Usually I'm at this time of the morning, I'm just kind of getting around and putting a paintbrush in my hand, but still in my jammies.
You're doing fine. So tell us, how did this all begin?
At the ages of 4 and then again at 6, I had to have some life-saving surgery. So during that, I had the experiences where I was actually introduced to some of my own angels. And then after that, I could just see them all the time. They were just part of my everyday life.
So you, wait. All right, time out. You were introduced to some of your own angels. Do they have names?
Yes, they do, but not names like we do. Today, when I do angel portraits for people, they don't, because their true name would take us about 15 to 20 minutes to say. And they're very tonal, almost musical. So when I do angel portraits today—
Can you give us a sample of what a name might begin to sound like?
See, one that popped in my head one time, I'm thinking how, because they spell them for me, like Sarael was one that somebody had one time.
Okay.
At least that's how I would pronounce it. Now, how they choose to pronounce it is totally up to them.
Okay.
It's already like an abbreviation. if they want to abbreviate it further. Because, you know, sometimes there's ones with no vowels. I actually have also seen ones with no consonant. So yeah, it just, you know, they spell for me, you know, the name because it's more about the tone that creates.
Okay, so I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were starting from the beginning, you know, at 4, and then at 6 you had these experiences. So please continue.
Yeah, and that was, you know, then just normal life for me to see my own. And then in 1997, that changed, where I actually noticed I was starting to see not just my own, but everybody else's as well. And of course, you know, the first thing I did at that point was sit down and go, okay, what's going on here and what am I supposed to do with this? And you know, it was immediately that I was supposed to learn how to paint and draw what I saw. And you know, being me, I argued for probably the first 6 months, to be honest. So I wasn't the least bit busy in the fact that I had 2 teenage sons and 2 toddlers. So yeah, one other minor detail. I didn't know how to draw. I was not an artist at that point. I'd always dreamed of being an artist, but I was not. And over time, I've learned I just really wasn't inspired yet. So I hadn't taken the time to practice and hone my craft, just like anybody, yeah, anybody and anything that you really want to do, you need to hone your craft.
Did the angels give you any drawing tips or anything? Tell you what kind of brushes to use?
Times I still think that they very much guide my hand.
Okay.
But I've gotten better at allowing them to do that. It'd probably be the best way to put that.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So,
well, it's interesting. You mentioned that you started seeing more angels in 1997.
mm-hmm.
On your Facebook page, it says that you graduated in 79, so that would put you at approximately the age of 36 in 1997.
Yeah, which oddly enough, yeah, that's my birthday as well.
Mm-hmm. So 36 would be 3 + 6 = 9, which is
right.
completion. I'm looking at like synchronicities. Do angels give us number synchronicities? Because what I was,
yes, definitely. And I was noticing like your Patreon.
Yes.
Yeah, those are angelic self frequencies.
So actually, I was the 77th person on when I posted this, the promo for you on my Facebook page. I was actually the 77th.
I hadn't even seen that yet.
Yeah, that did that. And then, well, at the time, like I said, there were 77 here, 7 comments plus 14 shares, which is 7 + 7. So I was looking at 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Mm-hmm. And my name is Greg. G is the 3rd letter or the 7th letter of the alphabet. And I have 3 G's in my name. So I have 777 in my name. Somebody also posted a picture here. That's really beautiful too. Of, you know, what we see is like angels in clouds. Do they come to us in clouds?
They can definitely. They tend to use subtle things like that, numbers, clouds. They can use music a lot too. Like when you first get in the car and you first turn on that radio, yeah, they can use all kinds of things for messages.
So are you saying that the angels are DJs?
Sometimes.
Okay, that's cool. No, I believe that, honestly, because sometimes you hear a synchronistic song, you might be thinking about something, or you know, a loved one who had passed, and the right song just happens.
Yeah, they like to use animals a lot too.
Okay.
They use our furry friends and feathered friends.
So what about these synchronicities, these numerical synchronicities?
I've also gotten into what's called the solfeggio frequencies quite a bit, which is based on Pythagorean math. And there's 9 different sets of 9 frequencies. And one of those sets is referred to as the angelic frequencies. And those are the 111, 222, 333, things like that. So you had talking about the 9 before, you know, all the solfeggio frequencies all add up to either 3, 6, or 9.
Tesla numbers.
Yes. Exactly. Tesla used the self-agio frequencies.
Hmm.
A lot of scientists actually do. There's been a lot of interesting, coinky dinks, I guess. Yeah, but you might say about, different places you'll find the self-agio frequencies. We should be tuning our instruments to 432, which is one of the main self-agio frequencies from the natural set.
So what numbers do you see? What do you get, like specific numbers a lot of? What do they mean to
I
you?
get the angelic numbers a lot. I also see 528 quite a bit, which is actually interestingly the frequency put off by our sun.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've noticed a lot, for example, if people will see their birthday a lot in the time. If you were born on March 15th, you might look at the clock and it's 3:15 a lot. And if you haven't noticed that yet, you're going to start to notice that. My birthday converted into a clock time adds up to 11. So, do any of these numbers mean anything, or is it just?
Oh yes. Actually on my website, because I have created mandalas for all 81 of the self-agio frequencies.
Mhm.
And then I've channeled information about what each one of those frequencies can assist you with, and all that information is on my website. The earthly set is a very common set that a lot of people have worked with over the years, but the other 8 sets are not nearly as common.
Why don't you tell us your website? And while you're saying it, maybe somebody in the chat room on YouTube can put it in there as well.
I made it simple, SusanWalterArt.com.
So if somebody listening in the chat room can post a link to that.
And thank you for whoever does that.
And what I'll do is I'll end up putting a link in the more info section below the video.
Oh, perfect.
Well.
Thank you.
And you can also find Susan on In5D as well. Let me just show that real quick.
And I do post on Facebook and Instagram as well. And you'll find links to those on my website.
Right here, Meet Your Guardian Angel. So just click that and you'll be able to find her website as well. So moving on. How do you know if your soul is from the angelic realms?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, because there's not just one way on that, but there does tend to be more, there is an energetic imprint that I have noticed on those people that were because a lot of times people that are from the angelic realms are intended to go to the angelic realm, have an imprint on them that, I tend to recognize. But recognizing that in yourself, to be honest, I couldn't say. I'm sorry.
Well, what about people who feel like they may be cherubim or
Chances are they either are or have a very strong tie for some reason to that realm. And because my understanding is people can also, particularly during dream time, sometimes during meditations, they can go and experience those realms for brief periods of time. So that, if they've experienced that or done that, or had, say, in some of the ancient temples and different, points in history in our planet where they were taught to do that, to experience that, could have very strong ties to that.
Okay. How many angels are assigned per person?
Minimum 3, and that's minimum. But the more work you have to do, the more you have. So some people, may not consider it all that great of a thing to have, multitudes. And I've noticed that it tends to be when people have more than 12 personal ones with them, that sometimes we can have angels with us just to help us with certain tasks. So they're not necessarily personal angels, but when you have 12 or more personal angels, then you have what is I refer to as planetary contract, which means that you're here not just to deal with your own stuff, your own karma, and experience your own, your own lifetime, but to help others in some way as well.
Do you think that that would go also in those same kind of numerical increments, where you might have 3, 6, 9, based on those?
As far as the number of angels, not always, no. Because I've seen people that had 5 or 7 or 8. So it depends on what they're needing in this lifetime and what they're here to experience.
Can you see people's angels just by looking at them?
And normally, when I look at somebody, I've kind of learned to turn it. I think it was turning the volume down, where I see kind of a globe of color, almost like a snow globe in a way, of color that's just constantly moving. And then when I set with someone or set with someone's picture and photograph with the intention of drawing them, just one then will step forward and take shape and define color for me. But to be honest, they don't even do that all at once. It's like they'll show me the body first, and then they'll show me what we think of as wings. And what being of light does not need wings.
That's what I thought.
And then something that has been added just in the last about year and a half now. I've started seeing this a script, and it usually starts at the throat and goes down through the center of the body. There's been a couple of occasions where I've seen that be in the wings. But I don't usually see that till the very last.
What was that you saw?
It's a script of some sort, and a language. I cannot read it at this point, and it's meant to be a message from their angel to the higher self. So the higher self immediately can recognize it and read it and understands what the message is that's being relayed. But we don't
when you do these pictures, do you write that script down into the pictures?
So it's right in the picture, usually starting at the throat and going then down through the center of the body. And I've been seeing that. Started in right around November of 2018.
Okay. That's interesting. It's evolving as you move along.
Yeah, and as we move into these higher frequencies. And then the name is the last thing I always get.
So are there like angels sitting right next to me? Are they like?
Oh, of course. Of course. Yeah, and any picture, as long as I can see the person's eyes, then I can see the angels. If I don't see the eyes, then I'm not able to connect.
Are they trying to work their way in on like the left and right side? Are they like, hey, I'm here. Is that what they do? How do they?
Yeah, it's when they're still in just that globe shape, it's kind of like they're just kind of swarming around you, kind of going front to back. And some of them are going clockwise and others are going counterclockwise.
Yeah, mine would tend to go in circles, I'm sure. Actually,
sometimes I think I have mine going in like bouncy balls, but
most of mine look like this. This is what they're doing. Oh God, he's being himself.
What has he done now? I know one time somebody asked me, do my angels drink? I said, well, they would if they could, but being something, I can't do that.
Now, I've heard that angels are non-gender specific. They don't have genitalia.
That's correct. They sometimes can have an energy that might feel more feminine or more masculine, but you're always going to have a second one that's keeping that in balance. And that energetically can change as well. They may not always, continue to hold that like a feminine energy or a masculine energy.
What's the difference between an angel and an archangel?
That's a good question. I think it's the frequency that they personally hold. And I don't, we often think of the different frequencies as being higher, lower. That implies that one is better than another. And I think faster, slower is actually much more accurate from our perspective and the language that we use. So their frequency that they hold is just faster.
People were trying to put the link to your website in the chat, and apparently you have to either be me or a moderator. So I was able to put it in there.
Okay,
We do have some questions. Here's
great.
one from Rabbit Holes. Do angels ever appear or talk through humans?
Oh, yes. And they will do that briefly from time to time. And it's not really taking over, but influence that person in a way to help relay messages, transfer healing energy, whatever is needed.
Here's another one from Mojo 0714, which to me, I see 777 on that, the 14 being 2 sevens.
Right.
I had an experience with a blue spiral light. Was this the angels?
It very well could have been. Yes. And that sounds like something that particularly Archangel Michael would do, to briefly, touch your energetic field in some way.
Here's one from Rabbit Holes again. Do angels ever appear as people or talk through certain people?
Yes, they do. Particularly, if them manifesting a physical form takes a great deal of energy. So that's not something that they do very often, but they will, if needed, if they're not able to, say, tap somebody on the shoulder to help assist in holding that energy for for that person.
And glory be, amen. Is our highest self an angel?
My understanding is no. They'd higher self and angelic realm hold different frequencies.
Okay. Mark is asking.
When you get down to it, everything's a frequency. An atom,
Yeah.
it's what frequency that atom is vibrating at.
I agree. Mark is asking, can we command them to work out things for us?
I would prefer to use the word ask.
Yeah, I would too.
To ask.
You'll do this or else. Like,
yeah.
oh, there they go again.
Yeah.
Face palm. He's
But
commanding me again.
one of the things we often forget to do, though, when we ask is to also, give gratitude.
Yes. Yeah. So we got more questions coming in.
Right.
Here's from Gail. I see green and blue orbs frequently. Are those angelic entities?
They very well could be. There are beings from other frequencies as well, other than the angelics, that have been portraying themselves in that way as well right now. So it's a possibility, yes.
When we find a feather, does it have any kind of angelic meaning to it?
To me, it does. And I think that's going to be partly too up to the person. What do feathers mean to you, and maybe it's only a certain color of feathers that might be, hold that meaning for that person.
I know there's been times where I'll open my door and there will be a feather right in front of my door. And another time I had a house that had a pool, and there was a small rip in the cage, the pool cage. It was an enclosed pool, a small rip, but yet a feather found its way through that rip and floated down right in front of me.
Cool.
So it just felt like a visitation.
Feathers are always a visitation of some sort, a reminder of some sort. It's just sometimes it may be from your angel, sometimes it may be from a spirit guide. Sometimes it can even be a message from, a loved one that has transitioned.
What about animals? Do our pets have angels assigned to them?
I don't, I can't say that they don't, but I don't see that. I only see the ones pretty much associated with people.
It'd be kind of funny though if like a dog had like another dog with wings on it, it's flying around it. Here's a question from Mandy. Can angels be demons as well? Change from angel to demon depending on the circumstance.
Well, that one has a little more of a unique answer, because what we perceive as a demon may not necessarily, because they are doing something or changing the energy in our lives in some way that we don't like or we're not comfortable with. We may perceive them as such, but that experience that we go through may be, exactly what we needed to experience for some reason. It may introduce us to somebody that we wouldn't have otherwise been introduced to. It, and may help us, assist us in clearing karma in some way. We don't know why we're, choosing to, go through that experience. And one of the original names in one of the ancient, in some of the ancient languages, was we would pronounce as daemon. And that could be easily more. So there's multiple things going on with that energy and the what experience we're being given.
See, I was wondering about, like, for example, the etymology of certain words. You have archons and archangels. Is it the ARC in archons and archangels any related to one another? Is it the polarity and duality, perhaps?
It could be, and there's also there are a group of angels also referred to as the archaea, which they definitely do hold a more feminine energy.
Here's a question from Amanda. I just want to tell you guys in YouTube, please put them in capital letters. It's a lot easier to find. But Amanda's asking, how can we talk to our angels and how do we hear them?
Meditation is going to be the easiest route to do that. Yeah.
Would you recommend protecting yourself beforehand and only those of the highest good and being?
Definitely.
Of light?
Yeah, if you choose to work with stones, there's things like the stone called angelite. Maybe actually have that as one of those stones present, or even holding one of those stones.
I've never heard of angelite. What does it look like?
It's a real pretty soft blue to white.
Is it like similar to a quartz crystal?
No, it's still closer to an agate of some sort. And then there's also a stone called celestite, which is also blue. And it can have points. They're usually smaller though, where you can get quartz crystals that have long points. Again, these tend to be much, shorter points. But,
I have a stone called spirit quartz, which is really pretty. I don't know if that has.
That can be used to get in touch with angels, but also with spirit guides, whatever your intention is.
What is the difference between spirit guides and guardian angels?
What they have shown me is, as a general rule, and there's always exceptions to every rule, but as a general rule, angels have not taken physical form and lived a full lifetime, where spirit guides have. So spirit guides can be better at understanding things like time. So if you're asking an angel, particularly for help with, and there's a certain time frame involved, give them the full, month, day, and year. Because otherwise, if you say this week, they don't necessarily fully understand that.
Right, because they've never experienced this third dimensional reality. That makes sense.
Yeah, and they sure, and if when an angel says the word soon, that could mean the next 5 minutes or the next 5 years.
5 millennia.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have no concept of time. How would you if you've never been here?
Unless you've fully experienced the 3D and and looked at a clock, you're not going to fully understand the concept of time.
Do our guides and angels hang out together?
Sometimes they do. I've had, in my own personal experience, I've had spirit guides contradicting my angels before. It does happen.
I can see that. Them
Yeah,
going
like,
like
oh
this.
God, no, what am I
You
supposed
don't
to
know
do?
anything about 3D time. What are you talking about? I could see that happening. I
Yeah.
actually, I met my spirit guide in a dream. And originally I'm from upstate New York, the Catskill Mountains. And I always had this affinity to the beach, the ocean, and palm trees. No idea why. I remember asking my mom, why don't we have a palm tree in our house? We can grow one inside here. It's warm enough in here. But eventually I ended up moving to Florida. I always thought I was a California guy trapped in a New York body, but as it turned out, I was a Florida guy trapped in a New York body. I love Florida. And once I moved here, that's when I had this dream. So my spirit guide comes to me in a dream, and she looked like she was Native American, long, straight black hair, flowing white gown. She goes, "Hi, Greg. My name is Tamara. I'm your spirit guide. So here I am. I can ask her anything in the world. And what do? I just repeat her name over and over and over again. Tamara, 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 Tamara. Because I didn't want to forget it. I wanted to remember, hey, I finally met my spirit guide. This is her name, Tamara. So I said it so many times in a row that I ended up waking myself up out of the dream. I could have asked her anything in the world in this dream. And all I did, I looked like an idiot. Tamara, Tamara. So here it is, like 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And I know that every name has a meaning. Every name means something. So I get up and I go online and I check it out. As it turns out, Tamara means palm tree. So it was a beautiful message for me and it gave me like an understanding of why, I was this Florida guy trapped in a New York body with this affinity to palm trees. Now I know why.
Cool.
So I wonder if my angels communicate with Tamara at all. It's good to at least know the names of.
Yes, it can. Yeah, being able to, call out and make that connection. 'Cause names for us are very, very powerful
Mhm.
in the reality that we live within.
Just out of curiosity, if you see any angels around me and they give you a name, tell me.
Okay.
All right, just curious. Be funny if one's name was Tamara, but I doubt it because usually they end in like an EL, don't they?
Not always, no.
No.
Not always.
For example, give us one that's not an EL.
Oh,
Yeah, Greg.
what popped into my head was a story of one that I did in this event. It was at a fair, and I was drawing angel portraits, and I ended up drawing portraits for for this lady, and then her husband, and then her dad, and then a couple of her children. The funny one was her dad, and at the time I didn't know it was her dad. Okay, and this angel was very, because they have different personalities just like we do, and this one was definitely very much of a jokester. And I kept telling him, do you have issues with, people losing their keys a lot and misplacing their eyeglasses, things like that? And he just kind of gets this funny look on his face, but he hardly said a word during the whole time. It takes me almost an hour to do an angel portrait. And, and at the end, I got the name Bob, which was, I never get what we think of as human names, but this instance I did, I got Bob. And then he just went white.
Maybe his full name was Babel.
So then later on, I'm doing a portrait for another lady, and she tells me the story of sitting by, which I later figured out was this particular gentleman. And he was saying how, we lose our keys and our eyeglasses and just wallets and different things all the time. And we can, we always blame it on Bob.
That's funny. Bob the Angel. That's great. From the chat room on YouTube, Galactic Fire, who makes beautiful tie-dye shirts as well, made me a beautiful one. Should we consider angels as teammates?
Yes, that is an excellent way to think of them. You can even recruit different, angels to be in different teams, to help assist you with different things. And let them choose which team they would be best at. And so, an angel could be on multiple teams.
And another question, can pets be considered angels on Earth?
I think it is easier for angels to use them energetically to exchange energy with you or to share energy with you than it is to use people.
What about the frequencies of angels? Karen D is asking, can you hear their frequencies?
Sometimes I can. I don't think some of the frequencies that some of them function at is audible to the human ear.
I was wondering about that because a lot of us do hear high-pitched frequencies, and we'll have shifts in frequencies at times as well.
Yeah, that can also be affected, by the Schumann resonance of the planet and things like that as well.
Okay. Okay. Do you know of any fallen angels and this is from Glory B, are there any current fallen angels on the planet?
My understanding is what we think of as fallen angels is yes. A number of those angels also we think of them as fallen, but they chose to come here and take on physical form to assist.
Would that include Lucifer?
I believe so. That is my
And
understanding.
is Lucifer of the light? Because it's my understanding that the Vatican, ultimately, they don't worship Jesus Christ or God.
Yeah.
They worship Lucifer.
And okay, you have a hard, or some really hard tasks that you want to assign to, as an assistant, for example. Are you going to give that really hard thing to just anybody, any one of your assistants, or are you going to give it to your best and your brightest? Lucifer, that energetic is here to help us experience duality, which is something we purposely chose here as individuals to experience.
Seems that a lot of those people that are in the dark cabal practice Satanism, but they're also associated with Luciferianism. Would that be similar to what you're talking about as well?
My understanding is Lucifer and Satan are two separate entities.
Mine too, but they're connected with each other through these people in the deep state and the dark cabal.
Any energetic can be twisted and used for and manipulated for dark purposes.
Okay.
Or what we think of as dark or negative purposes.
I'm just going through YouTube right now. We still have more questions coming in. From Steve Jones, are there more angels present because of the times we live in?
Yes. I know when I first started doing angel portraits for people in '97, everybody, I said only, had two. And there was a period right around between 2000, 2001, where it's like everybody in the planet within a very few short months got a third angel or an additional angel to whatever they had. And I think they're here specifically to assist us through these times.
What about, for example, other dimensions, star systems, like let's say you're Arcturian? Do they have angels? Are there angels for people in the fifth dimension and higher?
The way I understand it, yes, but I'd like to give a more detailed answer to that, but I really can't. Because angels do exist in multiple frequencies, or what we think of as angels. And they do have different, we would almost describe it as different races. But it's the color, the color has nothing to do with that.
So, okay, well, What about, like I said, like Arcturians or Pleiadians? Do they have their own angels?
Beings from those planets or those, yeah, yes, they do.
Okay,
Mhm.
just curious. Inquiring minds want to know. Mark McDowell is asking, we all have an angel who looks over us in this life. Well, as you were mentioning, we all have at least three, correct?
Yeah, and one of them is what we generally refer to as the main guardian angel. And that's probably what he's asking about. And I know that one always shows themselves to me as having some sort of breastplate, like armor. And that particular angel has always been with you, not just this lifetime, but all of your lifetimes in physical form. And that doesn't mean that other angels haven't been with you more than one lifetime as well. They may have been with you multiples, and this may be the first and maybe even only lifetime that they're experiencing with you, because they learn just as much from us as we learn from them.
When we cross over to the other side, do we actually see and meet our angels?
It is easier to see them into the frequency that they exist within. It's easier to see them.
Are they actually there once we pass to guide us through to the other side?
Not in a complete, not in more in physical form and like we would think of that, but my understanding is that it's much easier to see them in their pure light form. It'd be almost, with that ray of sunshine coming in between the clouds, that would be like
Oh,
seeing
so
that.
they would look like me, a ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
I keyed. Can you ask angels about the future?
You can ask. You may not always get an answer because they don't fully understand time. So they may not, if you're going to ask about something like that, I would specifically give them a time frame that you're wanting to ask about, or a particular instance if you're asking for them to give you a time frame.
So what I would do, I would preface the question like, okay, angels, listen up right now. I'm going to talk and I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to resume talking in 1 minute later. That is your new concept of time. This is how you'll understand time. And I give them that concept. Okay, now how many minutes, hours, days, weeks? Tell them how many, all right, there's 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour. How many hours, days, weeks is it going to be until the event happens? That's what I would want to know. When are we going to have the event?
We all want to know. My understanding is we need to reach a certain mass consciousness before that event is able to happen.
I agree.
And choose to a larger number of us choosing to take back our own power.
Do they ever give you messages for humanity?
They have on a few occasions, yes, not very often though, to be honest. Mm-hmm. There are others out there that do much better at that than I do.
So basically through you, they want you to, show what they look like to other people.
Yeah, they want
them to get that download off of your artwork.
Yeah, they want to help. I'm a tool to help people connect with that energetically, to give them a visual to connect to, or a name, whatever it is, from that they need to help them connect.
Well, Glory B is asking right now, I don't know if you have an answer for this based on what you just said, but what is the biggest message our angels have for us now?
Biggest message? Take care of each other.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And take better care of yourselves too. When they say each other, they don't mean just somebody else out there. They mean for you. Take better care of yourself as well.
Okay, here's a question from Free of THC. How do angels feel about unfailing love? Unfailing love. Loving our authentic selves and sharing this with the world. My angels have told me that duality doesn't exist at the higher vibrations.
That's true. It does not. You know, you get to the higher vibrations, love is really all there is.
H. Jenkins is asking if you are you a psychic, are you a physical medium?
I don't consider myself to be. You know, others might, but that's not the way I think of myself.
Okay. I think that's about all the questions I have right now. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think we've pretty much gone over everything that I
We covered a lot of
There's
ground.
some great questions.
Yeah. Major props to everyone that
Yeah.
put the questions out there. And what a great informative conversation we've had.
Yeah,
Thank
that's been fun.
Definitely. So before we leave, once again, I'd like you to remind everyone where people can find you.
SusanWalterArt.com is my website. And you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as Susan Walter Art.
Okay. And once again, I just want to encourage people to check out in5d.net for amazing t-shirts like this and join us on In5D Patreon. So once again, Susan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's been fun.
And to everyone else, I'm sending you all infinite love and light. This is Greg from In5D.com. Namaste.